Look us up on YouTube from the Hawkeye of the Storm for breakdown on everything that transpired today at Iowa Media Day, as the offense and defense coming along with several more weeks before the start of the season. Appreciate the Johnny O Show helping us to make the coverage today possible. Again, check out his stuff on YouTube. Check out my stuff from the Hawkeye of the Storm on YouTube for the latest coverage around Hawkeye Nation.
Kurt, when you look at the tackle, and you said Connor Colby has moved outside or at least worked outside, what do you like about him potentially in that position, and kind of where do things sit right now, or are they still early in flux?
Yeah, well, we got a couple tackles out with injuries right now. You'll see that tomorrow. So that's helped expedite that process or that decision a little bit. What I really liked about Connor a year ago is just his competitiveness and his toughness, because it's really hard. Playing the offensive line as a first-year player, that's really hard. So a true freshman, which he was, we've had maybe 2 do it. So that's really, it's a challenge. It's a real challenge. And not every day was a great day for him. Not every play is a great play. But his mental toughness and his ability just to keep competing really impressed us. And you know, I think all of us felt like, you know, he's got to have position flexibility, but last year there was no, you know, we were going to move around. So now we have that capability. I think that actually is probably going to help him be a better lineman, period, wherever he ends up settling. And the good thing for us, it's kind of like last year at the spring, and the spring linebackers being out. You know, now I think we have a whole new confidence in some of the younger linebackers. It's a whole different, you know, level of comfort than we may have had we not have in that regard or that role. So I think that's how we feel about Connor right now. You know, we'll see where it all ends here in September, and health may dictate who's playing where. Hopefully we'll get all the guys back and be able to get guys where we feel, you know, gives us our strongest lineup. You know, mainly, I'll go back to the running backs too. I mentioned tomorrow being a big day for the kickers. Tomorrow's a big day for those backs too, because they really haven't been tackled, although according to the offensive coaches, the defensive guys are like at 89 tackles right so far this camp, even though we're not tackling. That gets out of control. But tomorrow we'll be legitimately tackling, so it'll be good for those guys to get hit by college players, and it'll be a big day for them too.
What have you seen out of Logan Lee and what he brings to the defensive side there?
When he what?
Logan Lee and what he kind of brings to that defense.
Just, you know, his maturity. He's mentioned Gavin's kind of one of those guys, and Logan's like a 40-year-old guy too. He just, you know, he is married. You can easily see that. He's probably got 3 kids in the station wagon by now too. So 3 months later, but you know, he's a really, you know, solid, you know, hard-working, just an outstanding young guy, and he's developed into a good player. So you know, I feel really good about that.
Coach Spencer Petras has had his highs and lows. Well, are you looking for anything specific, improvement-wise, out of him as he enters his senior season?
Yeah, all he's got to do is play. Just relax and play. And you know, he may press at times and try a little too hard sometimes, and that's a good thing to work against you too. So, but I think my vantage point, just watching tape last year, I think the biggest thing is we just have to help him a little bit more and support him better. Hopefully, we'll be a little bit better blocking this year. Hopefully we run the ball a little bit better, get him in better situations, third down conversions, those types of things. And then, you know, just a little bit more clarity, maybe what we're trying to do, so he can be quicker with his decision making and be a little bit, you know, just a little bit more on tempo. It's, you know, it all kind of goes together. Then receivers running good routes and getting open, that helps too. But yeah, so far so good. I think we're seeing some positive things. And all that being said, it's tough because you're going against your defense and they know you better than anybody. So sometimes those guys run our routes better than our receivers do. So it's one of those age-old challenges. But so far so good. He's done a good job.
Do you still view it as quarterback competition, or has Spencer won that yet?
Yeah, everybody's competing right now, and yeah, we'll just see what it looks like here, and and basically after 20 practices, we'll go a little bit more. Yeah.
What have you seen from Diante Craddieth?
He's had an injury too. He started out well, had a good spring. He's got a lower leg injury, so I think he's probably going to come back sometime next week. It looks like that. But again, just another guy, great attitude, great work ethic, really smart guy, and great kid on our football team. So it'd be good to get him back working.
Lucas Van Ness really, I wouldn't say came out of nowhere, but last year ago, spring kind of ascended very quickly and then had 7 sacks as primarily a rotational tackle. It seems like he has some potential to move outside and be a good player out there. What's your assessment of him? Where do you see him making the biggest impact this year?
He's doing well. I'm smiling here because I'm thinking back to just college football in general. Recruiting 12 days ago, I guess it would have been, we had X amount of underclassmen on campus for a prospect day, like everybody does. And I keep telling staff, I'm still struggling knowing that the majority of the guys that were here that day were getting ready to go into their junior years. They hadn't played a game as a junior yet. And 2 of them were getting ready to start their sophomore years. So I'm only laughing because to equate that to Lucas, first time I met him or saw him was up in the library a year ago, 2 Januaries ago, I guess. And he was kind of a tall guy, played hockey, and he had a sister who went to school at Iowa. I think she's in business school, which is nice, but it didn't mean we were going to recruit him. And so that was in January, and then he comes to camp in June. It looked a little bit different, 4 or 5 months later, whatever the math is on that, 5, I guess. 5 months later, looks a little more like maybe, a prospect instead of a high school sophomore. And, comes to camp, or I guess it was going into his junior year, maybe. He was in his junior year. Anyway, comes to camp and impressed us. It was the same night Wyatt Black was here. So that was when we offered him that night after the camp. And, obviously he's continued on that level of that plane of progress. So he's matured physically, like most kids do. Most of them are Division I prospects in 10th grade, 11th grade, but he's really matured. He's got a really good attitude, works extremely hard, plays hard. He's got great potential. So, I'm glad he's on our team and he's ascending.
How much of a step up have you seen Cooper DeJean make this offseason?
Cooper was just so raw, came from a, small school, did everything for them. And we still haven't, settled. He's playing corner, he's playing safety. So we still haven't settled just the one position with him. He seems to handle it well. Does a good job on special teams. But he's just a guy that he's a football player. And go back to the play that our opponent broke right there in their last possession. Yeah, he went from over here to down there and knocked the guy out of bounds, gave us a chance to, live to fight another day. We couldn't get the job done, but to me, that was kind of a signature play for him. Like, that's who he is. He's not going to quit on the play. He's got a good ability and a good mentality, a good mentality.
Coach, I know you don't pay much attention to this, but earlier this week, the coaches poll was released, and for the first time since 2018, Iowa is not ranked. Are you taking that as kind of a disrespect or a snub, and is your team going to use that as motivation for 2022?
It's like, oh gosh, oh gee, right? It's one of those deals. I think you guys know how I feel about preseason polls. Like, talk about a waste of time. With all due respect, and that was a coach's poll, so I can say that and not offend anybody in the media. And I do have feelings on that too. Their opinions about polls, coaches versus media. I wonder how many coaches actually do the polls. That's the first thing. But bottom line is that, what's really important is where you are in January. It's still all that counts. And, those polls really don't start, I don't think, getting it right until probably, November, somewhere in there. But it's all about, it's a long season, and right now it's just, about us trying to get ready for South Dakota State. That'll be a challenge. But right now, really, it's more about this football team, and that's what we're trying to do, is get our team better and maximize our opportunities here, at least through these first 20 days, and then maybe we'll start looking down the road a little bit.
Kurt Kayvon Merriweather said back in the spring that he felt a little bit snubbed by people because I think he was the only member of the secondary that did not get a postseason all-conference honor. How have you seen him sort of take that next step as far as the leadership role, and how has he kind of attacked camp and just for the secondary as a whole?
Yeah, if that motivates him, I'm all for it. I'm not for him not, getting honors, but I'm all for him being motivated. But I think he was anyway. And, the NFL scouts started coming through here probably a week ago, whenever. And obviously, he's one of the guys we're talking about with them. Typical guy that Phil had stashed, didn't say much about him, didn't say much about late recruiting. Brought him up as, probably better high school basketball player than football. But all he's done is improve. He's a tremendous young guy, great attitude, and a leader, not just in the secondary, not just on the defense, but our entire team. Highly respected. And, like a lot of guys that, Phil kind of soft plays and then brings them in. They seem to do that as their careers go on. I expect that with Kayvon. I think he'll have a really good year. And, that's good for us and that's good for him. But we just see him, continuing to get better. And, the biggest thing I appreciate is just his role as a leader. He's totally invested in it.
Coach, last year's defense was one of the best in the country. Didn't lose any, lost some important pieces, but it seems like most people are back. Do you feel like this year's group, as it stands right now, can match what they did last year? Or what about it makes you feel that way?
We'll see. And, you just never know who the opponents are and what challenges are going to be there, what's going to happen during the course of 12 games. But I like the way our guys are working. I like the leadership we're getting start there. Their work ethic is good. They're practicing well. And we're the younger guys, as I mentioned, the linebackers, watching them, what they did, the guys that aren't, the three guys that start, just how they operate. A year ago, we were really young up front, and now we've got a lot of guys that have been around here, and they're playing better. So, you like to think you're going to be better, but we still got to do it. That's the bottom line. And I'll take it a step further. I think, that's one thing about our conference. There are teams in our conference that believe in defense. We certainly do, and have for a long time. I think that's one thing that makes our conference a little bit different. I think there's a little bit more emphasis on defense here, so there's certainly competition just in the conference itself to be one of the better units.
Coach, you seem to always have somebody on special teams, whether it be Henry Marquez or Terry Roberts or even Devontae Young, that steps up and he's kind of that leader. Is there somebody in that unit right now that you can target?
Yeah, not quite sure yet who it is, but we've got a couple guys really doing a good job. But that's we'll find out in the games. But you hope you have that. We have a lot of guys that are non-starters who are really competing, and I think we're going to be able to help us. So keep our fingers crossed, and we work a couple periods a day on that.
Dallas Craddieth.
Great opportunity.
Dallas Craddieth looking
Could
good.
be. Yeah, it could be. Yep.
Coach, can you kind of just talk about Alex Wick going from a walk-on to now on the roster as a part of the 2 wide receiver corps? So just talking about the development you see from the spring to now.
Yeah, he's a really interesting guy. He's kind of quiet or subtle is the right way to describe him. But if he walked in the room, he's not going to jump out at you and dent, all that kind of stuff. But everything he does is just there's quality to it and consistency to it. And due to our injury situation last spring, he had a lot of opportunity to get a lot of work that maybe in a normal circumstance he wouldn't have. And the whole trick is when you have opportunities, being ready to go. And he's done that. He's made tough catches. He's very precise with what he does. I'm not saying there's a correlation, but the guy working with him is Ed Henkel, who also had a knack of, kind of looking nondescript and really making good plays. Good mental toughness and just understands the detail of things, and then also go after it, go get the ball. So I'm not saying he is Ed Henkel, but you can see some parallels just in terms of the way he operates. And it's a credit to him, and who knows? We'll see. But it's all good. I do know that's what you see in practice as coach. It makes you feel better or worse about predicting what a player's going to do in competition.
Coach, Jack Campbell has had an outstanding career here. What's the next step in his evolutionary product? I mean, his senior year.
Yeah, I laugh because when I talk to the scouts, I tell them, as a sophomore in high school, and you'll remember this, it took him at least 3 minutes to get his 5 fouls. So, he was pretty quick to get those. And by his senior year, he was a pretty good basketball player, not a Division I prospect, but he became a basketball player. So to me, that evolution, we've seen the same thing in football. He's tremendously humble. That's the first thing I'd say about him. Boy, he goes hard. Everything he does, he goes hard. He probably could play any of the 3 backer positions. We had 2 more they might be our defensive ends, like he's that kind of football player. So it's all good for him. You know, he's a strong leader on our team in a quiet way, just performance-wise. But you know, just it's all good for him, and he'll keep getting better. That's the thing. If you got the right attitude, you go hard, you're going to keep getting better. So you know, I'm glad he's on our football team.
All right.
Okay, see you over there. Thank you.
Thank you. Make your way over to the practice fields and most of our
I think last year might have been a bit frustrating for you because you got bodies, you're trying to get the best final out there. It just seems like sometimes you can't quite get caught up. But now you feel like you're closer to you.
I think there's moments you feel you're closer, but there's moments you may not be as close because you just don't know. You have some young kids. So frustrating really isn't the word for me. Job description is more what it is as an offensive line coach. I think you have to embrace those challenges because there is such ebb and flow and ups and downs. You start talking about personnel, especially youth. So just jump on both. That's why you got coaching. You know, that's what makes it enjoyable. That's what makes it fun because every day might be a little bit different, and you have to. And you teach kids really great lessons, but you don't flinch and you adapt. And you fight through and things like that are going to pay off because we're going to have to do the same thing in the game in a few weeks.
Is Richmond taking that next step that you thought he was?
Yeah, Mason is playing a little bit calmer, which is actually allowing him to play more physical because he's probably thinking less. He's a sharp kid. But yeah, Mason in the run and the pass has really shown an ability to play at a higher level this camp. No question.
At what point would you like, right now it seems like there's a little bit of fluidity here. At what point would you like to have, okay, I know this person's me at this spot?
Yeah. I've always said this. I really think that if you hurry that answer, you may miss something. Okay, so to me, the more time you have to get the right answer, you take all that time you can, especially when you're talking about individuals, players, and youth. So if you try to pencil in too fast, I really think you're going to do one of these kids a disservice. So it's open mind right now. You do obviously want to get tightened up down the road here with chemistry, but sometimes that's not reality. We wanted to do the same thing last year, and it didn't lend itself to that. And we'll see if it lends itself to that this year.
Olympic.
Guy, he's kind of building to this point.
Yep.
Where is he kind of this ability? Because this is kind of the year to take all the lessons he's learned over 4 years and kind of make it work.
Yep.
So where is he in there? I mean, not in depth chart wise, but just growth is.
Yeah, I think Jack's getting better. I think he, just like we've always talked about, he just comes to work every day, has a really good attitude, really good look in his eye. He'll make a mistake, and he gets right back on and works at it. He had, just like every other camp, he's had a couple reps where he'd like to have back, but he just doesn't seem to get too affected by it. He just gets, the last 2 or 3 days, he's improved quite a bit, and it's almost, it's just in a quiet manner. Like Jack doesn't get too up or down. He just goes back to work, and he's an important part of our room right now.
I know a lot of players in his position. They were spotlighted not from during the draft because of the Hayden Hutchinson film. I mean, what kind of conversations did that spark with him? I mean, as far as putting him in his past and not, because that could derail somebody mentally.
Yeah, I think it's the price of being in the arena.
Yeah.
I think it's something you learn from. I don't think it's something you run from. I think it's going to make Jack stronger. I think everything he goes through makes him stronger. He just never really. He never curls up and ball on you at all. I don't see it as a hindrance at all. He's just very steady, and I think he's a proud competitor. And there's some setbacks here and there, but I just don't see him. I see him using everything for him, not against him.
I kid him every day. I was actually down at camp in St. Louis, and I actually saw him run around. I referred to him as a kid with blue cleats, and I told Phil, I said, you got to look at Kyler. You got to look at this kid. We didn't know his name yet, but he's got blue cleats on over here. And then that's how the story started. That's how he ended up coming here. He came to a camp later on. We asked him to walk on. So here you are right now. You know, I mean, I can't tell you how many months it's been, but I mean, you think about how big of a play that was for Kyler Fisher on our special teams unit to catch that ball and get the Tide back, you know, in our favor when, you know, when quite frankly the wind was out of our sails against Nebraska, and here he is running into the end zone. You know, maybe one of the bigger plays in last season was made by, you know, a story like that, a walk-on like that. So, you know, the best part of him is whether it was that touchdown that didn't change him, whether it was the scholarship that he's gotten right now that hasn't changed him, or whether it be the fact that he's our backup will linebacker right now on the depth chart, that hasn't changed him. Like that to me are, you know, three, you know, pretty heavy deals that, you know, here's the same kid just going out there doing his thing.
Seth, just throw this out real quick. You were an outstanding wide receiver in college. How did you end up working with the defense?
To make a real long story short, I actually started on the offensive side of the ball at my alma mater. You know, then what was it, 5 or 6 years after that, that's when I had the opportunity to come here as Norm's defensive graduate assistant, and that's when my career changed from a position standpoint or from a side of the ball standpoint. And, you know, I guess it's
well, you know, they say catchers make great pitching coaches, right. And I would imagine offensive players make good defensive coaches.
Yeah, having that perspective on the other side of the ball is obviously a pretty big deal. So, you know, when you get to see it, I think, you know, Abdul Hodge is going through the same thing right now. Here's a guy that, you know, arguably one of the best linebackers in the Kirk Ferentz era, and now he's coaching our tight ends. But he does have that perspective from a defensive standpoint that, you know, there's going to be some little details and little things, nuances that are going to help those tight ends based on his experience.
Let's talk about the defense. Last year, takeaways, you know, interceptions, outstanding. Some people back from that unit. How's it look?
Yeah, I think, you know, we're doing well. I mean, we've got a bunch of guys that know our system, they know our style of play. We're fortunate because of that, because they know how to lead, they know how to get things started defensively. So, you know, I think we're in good position right now. You know, it's camp, so everybody's, you know, 9 practices into it, everybody's sore, everybody's tired. Like the mental side of things has started to consume some of our younger kids, and now this is where they start to plateau, you know, and then you hope that, you know, 3 or 4 more practices they can take back off again. But, you know, the older guys, the veterans that you're speaking to, they're out and in front, and they're doing a real good job for us.
The cash position has become very important in the defense the last couple of years. You lost a good one. How's that replacement looking?
Yeah, it's good. We've got a handful of guys that, you know, I've actually got one in my room that's taken some snaps. Kyler Fisher, who was a former safety DB for us. Cooper DeJean's in there. Sebastian Castro. So, you know, we're trying to figure it out. I would tell you that each of the last 3 or 4 seasons we've gone into it not knowing exactly who that guy was going to be. So I don't think we're in a situation, you know, where we're panicking because we lost a guy and we're not real sure who that guy is right now. It'll all play itself out over the next, you know, 13, 14 practices.
Do you adjust how you prepare when some of these offensive linemen are already as sophomores, first teamers, as opposed to if they have a few more years for development?
No, we're trying to push them regardless of where they're at. Like even the upperclassmen, the seniors, we're still trying to advance them and all their physical characteristics and traits that are going to help them be good football players. So that doesn't change as you progress through the program.
What about Graves? I'm assuming you probably don't see somebody with that physicality as the starting point.
No, he's also a guy that has put in a lot of work on his own, and he's carried that in here. You can see he's a very hard worker when it comes to the weight room. He doesn't shy away from anything, and I like the focus and attention to detail that he brings to his training. He asks a lot of good questions, so I think he's really embraced the area of strength and conditioning. He wants to be a strength and conditioning coach one day. It shows in the way he carries himself.
Really did a good job getting out the quarterback. How will that help him? Because it seems like his natural position is probably on the end.
Well, you know what? Again, and that goes back to, and I do this a lot in recruiting, I cringe when kids say, "Oh, I'm an end and I'm a tackle." You I think there's one way to play the defensive line, and whether you're inside with the big boys or you're outside, really the only difference is things happen quicker inside. When you're on the outside, there's more time. There's more time for everything. Sometimes you get impatient. But to say where his natural spot is, you'll see him inside this year, but you'll see him outside too. His goal is to be one of the top 4, top 8, top 6 guys that gets a chance to go out there. But last year, he was one of those guys. It wasn't outside though. That's why he ended up playing inside.
Wyatt was a guy, let's talk about physical specimen.
Yes.
The way he looks, and he seems like he's kind of bulked up in the right way. And last year it was kind of, it seemed to have start, stop.
Yeah.
But some guys, their clocks are just a little bit different.
Yeah.
Where do you think he could go this year and then?
Well, we're still dealing with the start, stop. It was stop at the beginning of the camp, then it was start halfway through the camp, and then we stopped. So kind of like what Coach Ferentz alluded to, the best way to improve, the best way to get better is to actually do it. You actually have to practice. And he's been at every walkthrough, and he's been at, in all the meetings and doing an unbelievable job with young people. But there's no substitute for actually putting your hand in the turf and going through the reps. What I would want for him is I want a string of days put together so I can really see where this arrow is going. Because his potential is through the roof. It's unbelievable, the things that he can do and the things that I've seen him do. I just want the injury bug to stay away from him long enough to actually get it done.
He's been blessed a couple of times by being around when we had, I think 3 or 4 years ago, the second unit was probably more talented than the first.
Absolutely.
But then, and now you've got a similar issue. It appears, 9, 10, 11 deep, where you feel pretty good, probably. But does that help everybody? That even the seniors who played a lot, now they're looking behind them and going, wow, I got this guy who, he breaks out.
It helps the competition, and I think we're very transparent in our room, and we monitor everything. We track everything in our room from a practice standpoint, and it's really fun to watch the guys compete, but also help each other. There's no dissension in the room. No one's trying to sabotage anybody else. Everybody is excited for everyone else's success, but that level of competition forces guys to bring it every single day. Like there's no day off, and I have to remain, and I recruited them all. I sat in all their houses, I know all their parents, but I have to remain as objective as I possibly can to do the best thing for the Iowa football team come September 3rd. And they understand that very, very clearly. They are going to have a role to play, and we're going to need everybody if we're going to, achieve our goals for the fall. But it's one of those deals where it's my job to put the guys in the field at the right time in the right situation, and then it's their job to take advantage of that situation.
Coach, with Van Valkenburg gone, who has really stepped up on the defensive line and become one of the captains of the line?
Yeah. Oh, really? All those guys. I mean, you go down to Joe Evans, John Wagner, Noah Shannon, Louis Steck is another guy. These guys, leadership. I mean, Zalk was the leader last year, unquestioned, vocally and in seniority. But he did a really good job with those guys. They all feel comfortable relaying the message. They all feel comfortable reinforcing the message. And for me, like I said before, my vision is more over the entire room, where they really show their leadership and where they really add their value is then the side conversations that they have with those young guys. Kind of like, did you go to school at Iowa?
I'm still at Iowa.
You're still at Iowa, so I'm the lecturer. All right, John, Noah, Louis, Joe, they're the discussion.
What's up, guys? My name is Nico Regini. I am a fifth-year senior here. I play wide receiver, and I'm from East Haven, Connecticut. My favorite meal is something my Mimi makes back home. She makes the best chicken cutlets and some pesto sauce and some pasta. It's real good, and I could definitely go for some right now.
And, just getting a little bit into it, obviously you have those guys ahead of you, but you were one of the few guys that got sort of some experience you wouldn't have gotten last spring had they not sort of been out of practice. Can you just walk me through what that moment's like if you're not getting in games as much because of those three, how you take advantage of moments like that to really develop, get that sort of experience that you normally wouldn't?
So Coach Ferentz preaches next man in almost every day, and just backing up aggressive linebackers you never know what's going to happen. Sprained ankle, they might hit somebody in the head out there. They might be out for the next game, but that's just how I look at it. I always want to make sure I'm ready to go when my number's called, and that spring ball really gave me an opportunity just to become the #1 backer. Campbell was out, so I mean, it was just time to step up, and I feel like I did a pretty good job in that role.
How much did it help you coming in January, do you think?
That definitely helped a lot. Definitely picked up speed from January to now. Just knowledge of the game, knowledge of the defense, just to see everything. Definitely helped a lot.
Have you gotten physically stronger, do you think, in the last, whatever it is, 8 months?
Yeah, for sure. All my max have been boosted since like high school and everything. So like bench press, squat, ankle, everything like that. All the Olympic movements. I've gotten a little faster too, so that helps.
How much credit do you deserve for Casey Proctor ending up here?
I mean, I've always tried to recruit him, but he's from the same place, so he played a little role, but it was mostly his decision.
Are you guys a lot alike? Like Pat was saying, you guys both seem kind of grounded and not caught up in the hype.
Oh, yeah, we're pretty much alike. We're together a lot of high school, and then we work out together like outside of football and everything. So we're close to being like the same kind of person.
Like this year that you're only doing one sport?
Yeah, that's something I was thinking about before the season. Like once football's done, I won't know what to do with myself. Won't have basketball, wrestling, or track or anything else to do. So yeah, it'll be different.
One of the fascinating things you did was got your associate's degree. Can you talk about that process? That seems very interesting and unusual, especially for somebody who is as busy as you were.
Yeah, so I started taking college classes through Iowa Central starting my freshman year, and then I took one class a summer all throughout high school, and by the time I was a senior I kind of had all the credits ready. So my mom played a really big factor in that. She's a nurse at the college that I graduated from, so she kind of helped out with the scheduling and got that all sorted out for me, so I just kind of had to show up and do the classes.
But you have to be pretty driven to do that.
Yeah, it was a lot of work, that's for sure. We have a lot of dual credit classes at our high school, so a lot of them were credits for our high school and college, so there weren't too many that was like strictly at Iowa Central, but the last semester I had a full college schedule, so that was kind of tough.
Who's taking you under their wing here? I know Logan Lee had talked about taking you under his wing quite a bit.
Oh yeah, Logan definitely has been a guy that's taken me under his wing. He's actually my roommate right now during camp in the Marriott, so he's just been a guy. He's been a great role model for me, a great leader on the team for sure. Just a guy I could look up to and kind of want to emulate one day, want to be like him.
And he's married.
Yeah, he is. A lot of people are shocked when they hear that. They don't believe him, but yeah, he is.
So what's the biggest learning thing you've had so far, practice-wise, or just, is it film work? What is it?
I think the biggest thing is just adapting to the intensity, like I said earlier. Just the pace of the game so much faster, and practice is just so much more up-tempo, quick. Got to be where you got to be fast. So I think adapting to the intensity has been the biggest challenge for me.
Do you feel like there's a role for you this year?
I wouldn't say. On special teams, I'm going to contribute as much as I can, but the guys we have right now are experienced veterans, been here 4 or 5 years, so I'm not expecting to play at all. If I happen to get in a rotation, that's awesome, but right now, the group, I'm just learning to look up to them and learn as much as I can.
I think the competition on the defensive line is pretty intense right now.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we're really deep right now. We returned I want to say 8 or 9 guys that all had played last year, so there's a lot of experience there, and that's something that I just want to learn from. You got a lot of guys that have played in Big Ten games. I haven't, obviously, so I just have a lot of experience.
I was going to say, that's got to be good for you to have a lot of experienced guys around you that you can learn from. I mean, how much have you taken away just from watching?
Yeah, for sure. They all know the playbook like the back of their hand. So if you have any question, there's 5 or 6 guys you can turn to and ask, and they'll know it right away. So that's been really helpful for me. Just kind of learning the whole system, learning the standard that they have here at the Iowa defense, the Iowa defensive line. They set a really high standard for themselves in our group. So that's just something that I want to carry out through my career, and they set a great example.
What did you think the first time you saw the playbook?
Oh wow, Yeah, I was like, holy crap, how am I going to learn all this? But, you know, over time throughout the summer, we had a meeting about every day during the summer, so it was a long process, but I'm starting to get it down a little more now. There's a lot more to learn, obviously, but I'm getting a little more adjusted to it.
Which guys are really taking you under their wings? Which guys you really feel like has helped you a lot?
I think Logan, he has been the biggest one for me. Just like the leadership that he shows in the room in practice, the advice and kind of like big brother figure he's kind of had on me has been really awesome to have. He obviously has a lot of experience playing, and the character he has is just second to none. You can ask anybody, they love Logan. He's just that guy. So he's definitely been a dude that I've been looking forward to.
This off season, what you and the defense have really focused on the most?
Well, me personally, I've just been working on my knowledge of the game over the summer, and as a team, I just feel like we just been working on getting 1% better every day. That's really something that we harped on throughout the whole summer and fall camp so far. It's just showing up every day with a purpose, showing up with one thing you want to do to get better, showing up with just something you want to achieve on each day, waking up and asking your why, waking up and asking yourself what do you want to accomplish. So I feel like as a team, that's what we've been focused on each and every day.
Now, do you see yourself taking on a bigger role this year, possibly at the cash spot? I'm not really sure, but could you maybe talk that through?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'll take on any role that is given to me, whether it's a bigger role or the same role that I had last year. I just feel like I just have to prepare myself for any role they give me, and I'm going to attack it and I'm going to go compete.
How is he as a leader, and how is he kind of taking you under his wing from last year until this year? You're both kind of evolving.
Yeah, for sure. He's been a great leader, not only for me, but for the tight end room and the whole team. So, I mean, he's just done a good job of kind of like taking me forward and helping me progress because last year I was kind of thrown into things, and he's helped me really move forward. So.
And what kind of things has he taught you to move forward? Is it mentally? Is it reps, or is it like off the field? What sorts of things?
It's a little bit of both, I'd say. Mentally, just trying to learn the defenses and learning the playbook and stuff like that, but also physically with little things like what steps you should take that'll help you out, and how to run this route and stuff like that. So it's been helpful.
And what, from your perspective, what has made him such a good player?
I mean, he's just a hard worker. I think that he's really dedicated to the game, and I think that really, makes him a good player. But it's way more than that. But those are just the two things that have really popped in my head right now.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
Is it discouraging ever to put in all this work, and I know football's not easy, and then not be able to perform?
No, it's not. Growing here, I mean, you hear it every day. Everybody went through it. The scout team, being the third round of that chart, just going in the weight room every day, working as hard as you can. That's the minimum, I guess. And yeah.
Seeing the way they come to practice every day, how they work, even throughout the ups and downs at camp. If they have a bad day, the next day they're out there having a great day. So that stuff's definitely encouraging.
Kirk's kind of talked about how when you struggled at times, I think he worded this, maybe thinking too much or trying to do a little too much. Is there something that the coaching staff has been able to maybe do that might help you in that area in certain situations, or that you've noticed, I guess?
No, to me, that's all just experience. I think a large part of my some issues I had in the 2020 season came from just gripping the bat too hard. If you go up there trying to hit a home run, you're probably going to strike out. And it's just, as a young guy especially, it's like you want so bad, you want nothing more than to go out there and throw 5 touchdowns a game and have every play be perfect. I think as you mature and and as I get older and more experienced, you learn that's not the way to play. It's not the best way to play. Sometimes the best play on 3rd and 10 is to throw the check down and let your running back make some yards. It's stuff like that. I think the only way to really learn that, really learn the importance of that, is through experience. And I've been lucky to have a good amount of experience at this point.
How big of a process was it for you to decide what you wanted to do? How long did that take?
Actually, not long. It was like 3 days. I was like, yeah, I want to play for Iowa.
So the moment they told you we're going to give you a preferred walk-on thing, that was it?
Yeah, it pretty much was. Yep. It was kind of surreal, kind of playing in Iowa City for a team I grew up watching. So yeah.
Football, was that? I mean, you were really good in soccer, but football's been your favorite sport?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
It sounds like you've been at pretty much every position on the line so far in fall camp. Is there one in particular you feel most comfortable at?
Honestly, I'm pretty comfortable on them all. You know, not much changes going from position to position. Just kind of who you're blocking and what you have to do. Kind of the same thing. You know, if you can play guard, you can probably be a decent tackle. If you can play guard, you can probably be a decent center. So, you know, I just think it's important for me to be able to play them all. That way, I can be versatile.
What do you feel some of your strengths as an offensive lineman?
I'd say just being strong, big, got a wide frame, kind of helps on the line, being square. And definitely just my intelligence. You know, I think I picked up a lot from Linderbaum, and I think I definitely learned the game of football a lot better being here.
I won't say like calling it weaknesses, but anything like in your game that you want to improve?
Not necessarily anything specific, but you know, just every day you can go out and work on something. You know, your footwork always can get better. Everything. You know, go watch film. You can get nitpicky about little things like hand placement and stuff like that. And I think that's just kind of what makes people great. So I wouldn't say there is a certain weakness, but just kind of looking at all those nitpicky things while we're in camp here and improving on all of them.
How have you seen Logan make the transition from defensive line to offensive line?
It's been incredible watching him do that. You know, he always seems to be in the right spot, and he picked it up really naturally. I mean, watching his film and stuff like that, and being a new guy, you can always learn from him. You know, things he does, and it's kind of amazing when you think about it. Like, I've pretty much played offensive line my whole life, and you know, he switch overs from D line, and I pick up things from him that, wow, you know, that was a great play that he made and stuff like that. So, but he's been doing great. He's a great kid, great guy. Just does what he needs to do every day. Comes in and works hard.
How does it feel? You're right now, if you look at the depth chart, it looks like you're kind of poised for a much bigger role this year. To kind of be going into this knowing that, okay, you're going to be more in the thick of things.
Yeah, you know, it's different, you know, a little exciting. I mean, you just got to be excited about it. You know, last year I was behind some great guys, and, you know, they stepped up and they left, went on to do better things, obviously, and, you know, I'm just trying to fulfill my role of being that Iowa offensive lineman, you know, being that tough kid out there and just working hard, having trust in my coaches to be able to get that done.
At guard, anything you learned from Shooter?
Yeah, you know, just his toughness and resilience. You know, he wasn't the tallest, he wasn't the biggest, he wasn't the fastest, but he always just seemed to do things right on the field and get after some people. And I think that's just something I'm willing to put into my game. You know, I'm a little bit bigger, taller than he is, but you know, it's not about that. It's kind of about how you play, and just watching him do that stuff really helped me out.
Are there any like parts of your game that you feel like you kind of pulled from either him or from Tyler?
I'd say from Tyler, I definitely just like pull around the smarts of football. You know, he knew the game really well. You know, what guys would do, where they'd go, and from Shooter, just his toughness. You know, his ability to be quick off the ball and stuff like that is what I'm trying to copy, and you know, work in progress on that. Not as quick as Shooter probably, but just those things. You know, just watching and learning from them.
All right, thanks. I appreciate it.
How would you describe the offensive line? I mean, are you guys a close-knit group or your brotherhood? How would you describe it?
Absolutely. You know, we've been kind of molding over that this summer, and Coach talks about it a lot. Barnett talks about that a lot. You know, trying to be together, do stuff together, put in some rules this fall camp where you're rooming with an O-lineman. You're not going to leave the room without him if you go into the facility. Just help each other out, stuff like that. This summer, you know, we'd have cookouts together and stuff like that, something a little bit different that we did, and trying to be hanging out with each other all the time, be together. You know, it's definitely helped a lot, and I think it's definitely giving a show on the field. You know, we're trying to get to that point where, you know, we hang out so much that maybe on the field sometimes we don't have to talk because we're thinking the same thing, and that's just kind of the way it goes. Barnett's really tried to instill that ever since he got here, just hanging out, being together. You know, everything we do has got to be together, and that's what makes a great offensive line.
So, are there any like defensive linemen around the Big Ten, or even for Iowa State, like the Will McDonald guy? Are any of those those players that have caught your attention?
No, not particularly. I haven't really been focused on a whole lot of other teams, especially this early in August. I've been trying to just better myself. I got a long ways to go if I'm going to fulfill the role of some of these guys that have left, and can't worry about other people if I got to get better. So I've just been trying to improve on myself for sure.
So I asked your coaches and I asked a couple of your teammates. Earlier this week, I think Monday, the preseason coaches poll was put out, and for the first time since 2018, they didn't have the Hawkeyes ranked. I don't know if you're aware of that, or if you guys caught that, but if you did, are you guys using that as motivation and a chip on your shoulder approaching, this fall?
Yeah, you see it on social media and stuff like that, but there's always graphics out there, and you just see things like last year they had the preseason poll come out, and half of them weren't ranked at the end of the year. So just kind of a lot of talk and things. Not a big deal that we're not ranked preseason. All that matters is how we come out each and every game and play. So that's not really on our minds about preseason rankings and stuff like that. We're just trying to become a better football team.
Any personal goals you got for yourself for this fall?
Yeah, I do. Obviously earning the starting spot and maintaining that through this fall camp and into the season is definitely a big goal of mine. Finally be able to break through that starting lineup, and then just personally, I want to be able to be that guy that steps up, be an all Big Ten kind of guy, honorable mention, second team, whatever it is, and obviously just help the team in any way I can.
So a true freshman, which he was, and he would have maybe two do it. So it's a challenge. It's a real challenge. And not every day was a great day for him. Not every play is a great play, but his mental toughness and his ability just to keep